Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Eden Project Cornwall. My name is Robbie. Thank you so much for joining us on our live stream today. We're super excited to have so many of you join us today. Now, just so you know, our live stream today is being brought to you by Eden Project. It's been brought to you by The Big Lunch and, of course, WWF. Now, you might be wondering what Eden Project is or what Eden Project is all about. Well, at Eden Project, essentially what we want to do is inspire people to work together to take positive action for our planet and for nature. And so here at Eden Project Cornwall, we do that by telling stories about plants and how important nature and the environment actually is. Because plants are important for so many reasons. I'm actually surrounded by 1,000 different amazing and beautiful plants. Plants give us medicines, they give us materials. I'm stood in front of behind you, behind the camera, is our rubber plantation. They also give us oxygen, which is fairly important stuff. And of course, they give us our food. Now, today, we're going to be talking a lot about food. So it's worth remembering, when you think about it, all of our food comes from plants. And you might be thinking, well, that's not really true because, meat, that doesn't come from plants. But if you think about it, trace it back in the food chain and you'll see that all food chains, they start with plants. So no plants, no food at all. Yikes. Okay, so with that in mind, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to Tom, who's just going to show you a quick video clip to tell you a little bit more about Eden Project. Okay, thank you for that, Tom. So welcome back. Hopefully, one day you'll be able to come and visit us here at Eden Project in person. Now, I am coming to you live from Eden Project's rainforest biome. It's over 55 meters tall, absolutely staggering. It's over the size of 2 football pitches, and there's over 1,000 different species of plants in here that can be found from throughout the world's rainforests. These amazing plants show us how we are connected to rainforests wherever we live. Now, just a bit of housekeeping for you guys this morning. It's best to view our live stream on full screen, but you might need to exit full screen in order to access the chat function. Please make sure you named yourself as your school name, and we'll keep monitoring questions and comments in the chat. We'll try and share as much of that as possible. We're also going to ask you guys some riddles and questions along the way. Now, we have a whole host of experts joining us on this live stream today, and we're all delighted to be here. So I'm going to take a moment to just introduce everybody. So first of all, you've already met me. So I'm Robbie from Eden Project. We have also got Tom from Eden Project, who sat there in front of that picture of the there's Tom in front of those beautiful biomes. So Tom is going to help tell you guys about Eden Project and about the plants here. We have Claire and Kate, who are from the Eden Project Big Lunch team.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
They're saying hello. So these guys are basically the experts in throwing the best parties and community events. So if you're looking to organise a party, these are definitely the people to speak to. Kate's also going to be monitoring the chat for us today and sharing questions with us from you guys and your answers. And we also have Amy from WWF.
Hello, everyone.
So Amy is an expert on tropical rainforests, the challenges that they face, and also, of course, what we can all do to help tropical rainforests. So what brings us all together here and now today? Well, today we're going to be thinking about the connection between us and three of our favourite things. And those three of our favourite things are parties and community celebrations, like the big lunch, food, of course, because who doesn't love eating yummy, delicious food, and the amazing tropical rainforests. I'm going to hand over to Claire now from the Big Lunch team, who's going to explain a bit more about what the Big Lunch is and the purpose of today's session. Over to you, Claire.
Thank you, Robbie. So the Big Lunch is an idea from the Eden Project, which helps to bring people together in their communities so they can share some food, make some friends, and have a little bit of fun together every June. Millions of people take part all across the UK. Some hold street parties and others celebrations in parks, gardens, community centres, schools, and anywhere really where you can get together. So a big lunch can be big with a whole street joining in like this one, or it can be much smaller with just a couple of neighbours around a table. It could be inside like this one, or anywhere outside, and even on a beach like this one. And big lunches can be really fun events to hold at your school like these ones. And once people start talking and making friends at Big Lunch, they often go on to do other things and make positive changes where they live. So they might set up regular playing out sessions for children in the street. They might get together for a litter pick or tidy up an unloved patch of ground, or they might organise other chances to get together, like at Halloween or at Christmas time. And what's really great about a big lunch is that it doesn't have to be difficult to organise or to cost anything. We all have something that we can bring to help make a party. So Tom now is going to play us a little film with a few ideas of what we can bring. Can you think of any more?
We're bringing the bunting.
I'm bringing the fairy cakes.
I'm bringing my disco ball.
I'm bringing some tea and some yummy cakes.
I'm bringing hummus and some traditional flatbread.
We are bringing fresh vegetables.
I'm bringing the pasties.
I'm bringing a bit of cheese.
I'm bringing a donation jar to raise money for my community.
I'm bringing the music.
We're bringing our dog Bunny. I'm bringing some laughter.
I'm hoping to bring some sunshine, like this. The Big Lunch takes place on the first weekend in June. Millions of us will be taking part, and you can too. It's a chance to share friendship, food and fun, and to get to know your neighbours better. So what will you be bringing to the table? Come and join in at thebiglunch.com.
Fab. So everyone can bring something to the table, and this year we want to make it the greenest big lunch yet. We can do this in lots of ways, by helping to keep the waste down, or using materials that are kind to the planet, like making decorations out of old newspapers and magazines. We can bring our own plates and cups, and of course we can think carefully about the food that we eat on the day. And today we're going to be learning about the rainforest, where some of our favourite big lunch ingredients come from. So I'm going to pass back to Robbie, who's in the rainforest now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Claire. That's great. So, Kate, just a quick pit stop, really. Have we got any good questions come through there on the chat?
No questions so far, Robbie, but I'll keep an eye out. Let us know if you've got anything you want to know about the Big Lunch so far. Back to you.
Okay, that's fine. We'll crack on for a moment. So just so you guys know the plan, we're going to begin in a moment by thinking a little bit about tropical rainforests and why they're important, the challenges that they face. And then what we're going to do is we're going to think about some of the stories of some tropical rainforest plants that are also big lunch favorites. They crop up in lots of people's big lunches. And we're also going to be thinking about actions we can take to make this year's big lunch the greenest and most rainforest friendly as possible. So I'm going to hand over to Amy from WWF, who's going to tell us more about rainforest and why they're so important.
Okay, thank you so much, Robbie. So our tropical rainforests, they can be found right around the equator of the planet. And that's a little bit like an invisible belt going right around the middle of the earth. And tropical rainforests, they are found in places that are warm and wet all year round. And they are thick with tall, dense trees, packed with loads of plants. You can probably tell from their name that they get a lot of rain. So that's what our tropical rainforests are. And I've got a question for you that you can pop in the chat. Why are tropical rainforests so important? So whilst you're thinking about your answers, rainforests, they're not just full of trees, are they? They are teeming with all kinds of life. And it's thought that over half of the world's species live in our rainforests, including loads of different types of frogs and fish and insects, mammals like orangutans. There's that lovely toucan there on the screen. So many of our different wildlife. Okay, so has anyone got any reasons why they think our rainforests are so important? Let's have a look.
We've got St. Tudie Primary School saying that they are giving us oxygen.
Fantastic. That is a really, really good answer. Rainforests are like the lungs of the planet, aren't they? And they produce about a quarter of all the oxygen in our atmosphere, even though they cover only about 6% of the surface. So really, really important. Brilliant. I'm just going to have a look through some of the other comments and see what else we've got. Okay, I can see
Tully
that.
Valley Primary saying they give food and medicine as well as oxygen.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kate. Brilliant. So oxygen, food and medicine. You are absolutely right. Lots of our really important medicines that we use every day that help us to feel better, they come from very strange plants deep in the rainforest. Fantastic. And food you mentioned there, definitely lots of different sorts of foods. We get things like chocolate and coffee, bananas, avocados, some other foods we're going to talk about later as well. So absolutely brilliant. Rainforests, they do provide loads of different things, and they give us lots of building materials as well. Things like rubber come from our rainforests. So they are really, really important. But unfortunately, our rainforests are under threat. They are under threat from deforestation. And that is when around the world, we're cutting down a lot of these rainforests. And the reason that they get cut down is for lots of different things. People might cut down rainforests to get wood, to build things with. But most of the reasons they cut down rainforests is to make farming land for animals like cows, things that we eat. So lots of rainforests around the world are cut down in order to turn them into farms. There might be other things as well. Rainforests might get cut down in order for us to grow crops like palm oil, and we will be talking about that a little bit later. And then for things like building towns and cities, rainforests get cut down so we can build our towns and cities, our roads there. In that picture, there's a road going straight through the middle of the rainforest. And unfortunately, it's not just deforestation, it's also climate change that is making our rainforests hotter and drier. And that's not very good for the plants and animals that live there, because they need these warm, wet, humid conditions to thrive. Okay, so that's the main threats to our rainforest. There is our climate change and that big one, which we are going to mention quite a few times today, deforestation. So keep that word in your mind. We'll be coming back to that. Okay, so over to Tom.
Thank you very much, Amy. First of all, just going to check in with Kate again to see if we've had any excellent questions come through in the chat that we could possibly answer now. It might be to do with rainforests, might be about deforestation. And then we're going to move on and take a trip around the rainforest with Robbie, looking at some of our favourite plants. So, Kate, is there anything coming through in the chat that we need to address now?
Yeah, we've had loads of great questions coming in the chat. St. Peter and St. Paul Catholic Primary want to know, what's the biggest plant we've got in the rainforest?
That's a fantastic question. Yeah, I'm going to take that one, Kate, because Robbie seems to be making a lot of noise. I've put him on mute at the moment, so he can't answer. So I'm going to take that one. The biggest plant we have in our rainforest at the moment, I would probably say, is our giant bamboo. It's one of the fastest growing plants in the world. I've heard it can even grow up to 1 meter every single day, which is quite amazing. And our amazing horticultural team, which Robbie is showing you now, they're waving to us on his camera, they spend a lot of their time chopping back our giant bamboo because it grows that quickly. So they're often abseiling down on ropes from the ceiling or going up on big cherry pickers to chop it back. So that's definitely one of them. We do have some really giant trees in there as well. Some trees which are kind of reaching right up to the top of the biome, but none of them grow quite as quickly as the bamboo does. So I think that's going to be the answer for that one. Okay, right. Now, I'd love to answer lots more questions, but I'm keeping an eye on the time, and I've seen that it's time to hand back over to Robbie. In a second, he's going to take us around the rainforest biome, and we're going to be looking at 3 key tropical plants and thinking about their connection to our celebration events like the Big Lunch. And we're also going to be learning about how we can protect the rainforest and look after these amazing plants, the actions that we can take, and the actions that other people are taking around the world. Because after all, millions of people and organizations care about the rainforests and are taking action to help them all the time. So I'm going to hand back to Robbie. I will take him off mute so you can actually hear him as well. And I think he's going to give you a clue as to the first plant that he is going to go and look at first. So back over to you, Robbie.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry, it's quite noisy in this rainforest biome sometimes. So yeah, I've got your first clue or your first riddle for you, and I'm actually showing you this plant at the same time as reading you the riddle, but I don't want to show you too much of it because I'll give it away. So here we go. I'd like you to pop answers in the chat, please. I can be milk, white or dark, and I smell really yummy. Don't leave me out in the sun or I'll go runny. You can melt me and mix me with Crispies that crunch, I like those, to make a sweet tree for your perfect big lunch. Answers in the chat, please, folks. What's anything coming through there, Kate?
Yep, lots of schools are getting it. Is it chocolate, Robbie?
It certainly is chocolate. You're absolutely right. It is the cacao tree, the tree that gives us chocolate. And I'm just going to zoom in for a second. This is one of those delicious and amazing looking cacao pods. So Claire, over at the Big Lunch there, could you tell us a little bit about chocolate, please?
I can. And there are lots of really yummy chocolatey treats that you can make for your big lunch. There's chocolate Rice Krispie cakes like on the screen, cupcakes, brownies. They're all really great for sharing at parties. And there is nothing like cake to bring people together. And we've got lots of recipes on our website to give you ideas to try out at home or together at school if you want to get baking.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Claire. Now I'm going to actually spend some time showing you the cacao trees, and Tom is just going to tell you a little bit about cacao trees and the plantation here at Eden. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Robbie. So yeah, absolutely. One of my favourite parts of the Eden Project, and looking particularly brilliant as well at this time of year, because we're not always lucky enough to see lots of cacao pods on the trees. Now you might be noticing that there are different coloured pods there. Some of them are green. These ones are not ripe yet, so not ready to be picked, opened up and taken the beans out of them. But those yellow ones that you can see are ready. So what would happen is we'd take those pods down, and I was lucky enough to chop one down the other day and open it up. Inside each pod you'll find around 30 to 40 beans, which is enough to make a bar of chocolate roughly the size of a Freddo, so really not very big. Those beans would then be sent around the world to the different chocolate companies, who would mix them with all sorts of yummy other things like milk and sugar and other stuff too, depending on what chocolate you like to buy, and then they will turn them into chocolate bars for us to go and buy from the shops. So there we go. You can see some of our cacao pods in the rainforest at the moment. They're just turning ripe, and we can start to pick some of those and open them up. Okay, now I think that I'm going to hand over to Amy from the WWF, who's going to tell us a little bit more about how cacao is grown in the tropics, where in the world it is grown, and also about some of the challenges around that and what we can do to help out. So I'm going to hand back over to you, Amy.
Thank you, Tom. So around 3/4 of the cacao that's grown around the world is grown in West Africa. And unfortunately, it's one of those main causes of that word I used before, deforestation. So areas of the rainforest in West Africa, they're cut down in order to make space for growing cacao plants so that we can enjoy our chocolate. And that means that some of these rainforest habitats are being destroyed, and the rainforest animals, therefore, they have less spaces to live. Another issue related to growing this cacao is, again, climate change. So I'm going to be talking a lot about deforestation and climate change. But climate change, it's causing the climate of West Africa to get a lot hotter and a lot drier, and with times of drought as well. So times where it doesn't rain for months and months. And this is not good for growing cacao. Cacao needs warm weather and lots of rain to grow properly. Now, there are around 6 million farmers in West Africa that grow this cacao. They need cacao plants to make money for themselves. And lots of them are already living in poverty. That means they're very, very poor. They don't get very much money. And they're finding it very difficult to grow this cacao now. That means they're making even less money from their crops, which really impacts them and their families. And it makes it difficult for them to afford basic things like medicines and food. And if these farmers aren't making enough money, they might try and grow a bit more cacao to try and get a bit more money. And you can imagine that then leads to areas of the rainforest being cut down even more. So there are some problems with our cacao, but there are things we can do to help. So what we can do is we can look out for different logos on our chocolate and chocolate products. And one of these logos is the Fair Trade logo. So you can look out for this logo, and it means that the farmers are being paid a much fairer price for their cacao, and their rights are better protected, and the environments where they work are also protected. You can also look out for the Rainforest Alliance logo, and that means that no deforestation, so no cutting down of the rainforest, has happened to produce that cacao. Okay, fantastic. Kate, have we had any questions through about cacao or chocolate?
Yeah, I've just put a general one up there for you, Amy, about deforestation. And then we've got a couple about chocolate to follow.
Yeah, so Gabriella in year 4 says, is it true that a football pitch-sized area is cut down every 5 seconds? That is true. We say that 2 football pitches are cut down every 11 seconds. So that kind of works out exactly the same, doesn't it? It's amazing to think about that area of rainforest being cut down so quickly. That must add up to so much space. So really good thoughts, Gabriella.
I'm just going to jump in there as well, Amy. You're absolutely right. We say the same here at Eden about an area the size of 2 football pitches being chopped down every 11 seconds. And just to put that into context, that's actually the size of our rainforest biome that we're looking around today. So our rainforest biome does cover an area roughly the size of 2 Premier League football pitches. So just imagine every 11 seconds, everything that Robbie is showing you on his screen is disappearing around the world. So sorry to jump in there, but I just thought that was put it into context a little bit further. Kate, did we have some more questions about chocolate?
Yeah, we've got a couple more come in. Pristine Primary asked, can you eat the cocoa beans raw?
That's a fantastic question. Now, luckily enough, I said the other day I got to chop one of these cacao pods open. And even though you wouldn't want to crunch through the beans raw because they'd be extremely bitter, they are covered in a white kind of slippery substance. And if you take one of the beans, pop them in your mouth, and you can suck off that white stuff, it's absolutely delicious. It's really fruity and really sweet. So I wouldn't ever crunch the pod, the actual beans themselves, but the material surrounding the beans, yeah, you can eat that raw, and that is really tasty. Someone else I saw asked whether it's a fruit. I suppose you could argue when you're eating chocolate that you're eating fruit as well. So I think that's there we go. There it's displayed on the screen now. That was Gabby there. And I think that's a really good argument. Certainly one that my children use on me as well. So great questions there. Cool. Right then, guys, I think it's over to me, or still with me, to show you the next clue, to give you another clue as to which plant Robbie is going to be taking us to next. So let me display that on our screen, or just while he shows you a really cool plant, the sensitive plant in the rainforest. Can you see as he touches it, it closes up there? Okay, as he strokes each leaf, it closes up. Now they think that plant does this either so it doesn't look very yummy to eat by herbivores, by things that might want to eat it, or to protect itself from heavy rainfall. But it's definitely one of our favourite plants to look at as we go round. Anyway, I've been distracted and Robbie needs to get a move on because he's heading towards our next plant. And let me read you the clue and you can, again, pop your answers in the chat here, guys. Which plant do you think Robbie's heading to now? Chop me and mash me, and then you can make for your big lunch a tasty cake. I am bright yellow fruit that comes in a bunch. Eat me cooked in a cake or raw for your lunch. I'm sure there will be some answers popping through incredibly quickly from that one. But let's see if you guys know what it is. Fantastic. We can see some coming through already. Kate's clicking on them. Well done, Townfield Primary. You've got the correct answer. So is St Mary's Catholic. Absolutely. Robbie is heading towards our banana plants. Now, it looks like he's frozen at the moment. That does sometimes happen near some of our banana plants. So what he'll probably do is make his way round to some different ones and show you some of those in a second. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask Claire from the Big Lunch team to tell us a little bit more about bananas and how we might use them for our big lunch. So over to you, Claire.
Thank you, Tom, and well done for lots of you getting the correct answer there. Did you know that over 100 billion bananas are eaten around the world every year? They're a really popular fruit and they're also really great for giving us some energy. And this year we're encouraging people to enjoy healthy food at their big lunches, and this strawberry and banana snake would be a really fun dish to have on the table at your big lunch. We've also got a delicious and easy banana and chocolate brownie recipe on our website, and Kate's going to pop that link in the chat now for your teachers in case you want to try and give it a go at school. Thank you, Kate. And Robbie is now going to show us the banana plantation over at Eden and tell us a little bit more about the plants.
Oh, it seems as if Robbie's having some signal problems at the moment, guys. So what we're going to do is we will wait for Robbie to move to a better place in our biome. Hopefully, he will be able to spot some banana plants and even show you some of them growing around the Eden project. So we'll wait for him to do that in just a second. But while he does that and while he moves around the rainforest, I'm actually going to hand over to Amy instead. And we'll hear from Amy about bananas grown around the world. And again, the kind of the things we need to consider, the issues in growing bananas, but also the things we can do to help look after them as well. So whilst Robbie's moving around, I'm going to hand over to Amy. I will also show some bananas on the screen for you guys, just so you know what we're talking about in the meantime. Over to you, Amy.
Thank you, Tom. Hopefully we can get some footage from Robbie soon. But there are over 1,000 different varieties of bananas. I wonder if you knew that. And the bananas we eat, we usually only eat one of these types. So there are thousands and thousands of different types growing around the world. The ones we get in the supermarket, it's just one type of banana, and it's called the Cavendish banana. So those are the ones that we will have seen in the shops, in our houses, the ones that we get to eat. But around the world, bananas are eaten by lots of different people in lots of different countries, especially in Central America and East Africa. They really rely on bananas as their main source of energy. They use them in lots of different types of foods. The problem with the bananas that we buy in our supermarkets, those Cavendish bananas, that one type of banana, is that it needs a lot of space to grow. So we need a lot of space to grow these bananas in big banana plantations. And that means, again, my favorite word that I'm using today, deforestation. It happens again. So we cut down areas of the rainforest in order to make space to grow these bananas. Second of all, growing these bananas for supermarkets, it normally relies on quite a lot of pesticides and chemicals to try and make sure these bananas can grow properly. And it also relies on single-use plastics. So whilst these bananas are growing on the plant, they're often covered in a big plastic bag to try and protect them. And that's not very good because those plastic bags, they get wasted, and that's a big buildup of lots of single-use plastics that we don't really need. Thirdly, sadly, our bananas, they're quite at risk from a disease. So there's one disease that's really causing a problem in our bananas, and it's actually called tropical race 4, but it's caused by a fungus that lives in the soil, and it can stay there for more than 10 years. It spreads very, very easily between the different banana plants. And that means that if this fungus is found in the soil, it can very quickly kill off a whole plantation of these Cavendish bananas really, really quickly. And this is a problem. This is a problem for those farmers who grow the bananas for their living. It means that people might lose their jobs if this fungus is spreading throughout the bananas, and that's their way of making money for themselves. And it also means that people around the world might not have enough food to eat. People who live in Africa and Central America, they really rely on these bananas. So it's very important. We do have lots of scientists working around the world to try and find solutions to tackling this fungus, and they are making very good progress. So that is a good sign. So what can we do about our bananas? So we can try and buy bunches of bananas that have the Fair Trade logo. So this is the same logo that you can sometimes find on chocolate, but it means that these smaller farms are producing the bananas rather than these absolutely giant ones. And it means that the banana farmers are being better protected. You can also, again, look out for that Rainforest Alliance logo, which relates to the deforestation. So it means that those banana trees, they're not being planted where an area of rainforest has just been cut down. And you can also try and buy bananas that don't come in plastic bags. Bananas have their own wrapping. That yellow shell that they're in, that skin, that protects the bananas. We don't need that extra plastic really to protect the bananas. So one thing you can try and do is buy bananas that come in a bunch or single, but that they don't have that plastic around them. Okay, so do we have any questions, Kate, about bananas?
Yeah, lots of questions coming in for you, Amy. Sophie would like to know, how long does it take for a banana to grow?
Oh, I don't know if Tom might know the answer to that one. How long do the bananas take to grow in the Eden project?
That is a really good question, and actually, it's one that I can't answer off the top of my head. I know how. I know that we seem to have bananas growing all the time around our biomes, because we actually have lots of different banana plants. So not just kind of in one place where Robbie is now, but we have them growing all over the place. And between all of those different locations, we seem to have bananas all year round. But I would guess on the trees when we see them, it takes it's about a month, I suppose, before we see new bananas growing. But that is a bit of a guess, I have to be honest, so please don't quote me on that one. Maybe when we've got Robbie back, he might be able to tell us the answer if he knows the answer to that one. I think we have got Robbie, so let's see if he can hear us.
Hello.
Robbie, are you there?
I am here now, yes. Can you hear me?
We can just about hear you, yes. So Robbie, do you know how long it takes for bananas to grow?
Oh, that's a really good question. What, for the whole plant in itself, they grow really very quickly, but I'm not 100% sure how long it takes the actual fruits to develop, to be honest.
That's fine.
Really good question. I've not thought about
as well, Robbie. That's fine. We're both in the same boat on that one. How tall though do the banana trees grow?
Well, I would show you, but every time I get near the banana plants, my Wi-Fi keeps dropping out. But essentially, probably about the tallest they tend to grow are about the size of the tree that's in the middle of the picture there. Okay, so I guess, generally speaking, up to about 5 or 6 meters, but often smaller than that. They don't have to be huge to produce bananas.
Fantastic. Thank you, Robbie. I think, just looking at time, we probably need to move on to our next plant. Are you okay to give the clue for this one, Robbie? Or would you like me to do it?
No, yep, I'll give it a go. Thank you. Oh, I've also just seen, what is it?
Now.
Okay, thank you. I've just seen there's also a question there. What is the largest type of banana? Which I actually don't know the answer to, but there are like 1,000 varieties. And some of them are absolutely delicious, like the Hawaii blue banana and the ice cream banana. You can guess what that one tastes like. Anyway, here's the next clue. So here we go. I'm showing you this plant at the moment. I'm a hard one to guess. So here are my clues. I'm made in good ways and bad, and can be in the news. I don't taste or smell, but I mix things up good. I come from a tree, but I'm not the leaves or the wood. Now, this is a tricky one. It's an ingredient in lots of things rather than necessarily something that you would go and buy. Answers in the chat if you can, please. It's right above my head. That's a good view of it.
Someone's guessing paper, St Mary's Primary School. Nuts we've got coming in, coconuts. Rubber.
Ooh, it's not rubber, but it's a good guess.
I can see we've had a couple of correct answers come through.
Oh.
I'm going to display one there. Is it, Robbie? Is it palm oil?
It absolutely is palm oil, and I'm underneath at the moment some ginormous African oil palms, and you can see the massive leaves above my head. Well done, everyone. Don't worry if you didn't get that one, because it is a super tricky one. Over to Amy to tell us a little bit more about palm oil. Over to you, Amy.
Thank you, Robbie. So yeah, palm oil, it's a bit of a weird one. It's something you might have heard of, maybe not have ever heard of before, but I can almost guarantee that you have eaten it probably in the last week, because it is in nearly everything that we buy that comes in some sort of packet. So it's in 50% of all of our packaged items that we get in the supermarket, everything from pizza, donuts, peanut butter, chocolate. It's in our cleaning products, it's in our toothpaste and our shampoo. It's in so many different things. So palm oil, it's an oil, and it comes from an oil palm tree. And the reason this palm oil, so there's some of the fruits of the oil palm tree on the screen there. That's what they look like. And you squeeze them and it releases this oil. And the reason it's in so many different things is because it is actually very, very useful. It has no taste or smell, and it can make things spreadable. It can make things last a lot longer as well. And that's why it's in so many different things. You can also produce quite a lot of palm oil in a small area. So it does make it quite an attractive crop for farmers to grow. However, the amount of palm oil we do use is causing us problems around the world, especially in the rainforests of Indonesia and Borneo, so in Southeast Asia. And palm oil is causing a lot of that deforestation. So huge areas of our rainforest are being cut down, and these palm oil trees, these oil palm trees, sorry, are being grown. And that is a problem because animals, they can't really live amongst these oil palm trees. They're used to having rainforests with loads of different trees, lots of different plants for them to eat. And they can't just live in these areas with only oil palm trees. So there are animals like the orangutan, like the Sumatran rhino, that are becoming very, very endangered because we are planting so many of these oil palm trees. So what can we do? What can we do? It's quite hard to avoid palm oil completely. And one of the solutions isn't really just going for any other oil, because those other oils, they also take up a lot of space to grow. So you can't really just avoid palm oil completely if you're buying things in packets from the supermarket, but you can look out for a special logo, and it's called the RSPO logo, and it stands for the Round Table for Sustainable Palm Oil. You don't need to remember that, but have a look at that logo and see if you can remember the picture. It's like the top bit of the tree from the oil palm plant. And that means that this palm oil is produced sustainably. So it's not in a place where lots of areas of rainforest have just been cut down. It's being produced on the same land over and over again. And there are some projects as well that are putting wildlife corridors through their plantations to make it a little bit better for the wildlife that should be able to live there. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to hand over to Claire for the Big Lunch's take on palm oil and solutions that we can think of when we're shopping.
Thanks, Amy. So as Amy said, palm oil is found in so many of the foods that we might buy from a supermarket that we might want to have at our big lunch. So one way to reduce the amount of palm oil that we consume is to buy less packaged foods and try and make more of the food to share at our big lunch table ourselves. It might sound like a lot more work, but it's actually better for us, and cooking and baking with friends can be really fun. Kate, have we got any questions coming through in the chat?
Yes, we have. Gabriella from Year 4 at St Mary's Catholic Primary wants to know how much palm oil is produced from one tree. Is that one for you, Amy?
That's a really, really good question. Now, I don't know the exact amount for the millimeters, but I do know that the oil palm trees can produce a lot of oil compared to other trees like things like sunflowers. They're not trees, but they're plants that we get oil from. Things like coconuts, we also get oil from them. I know that the oil palms produce a lot more oil from those fruits than the other ways that we get oil. I don't know the exact amount. That's something we can go and look up.
Thanks, Amy. And one more I think we've got time for. How is palm oil extracted? Shanford Primary Redwood class would like to know.
Yeah, good question. There are a few different ways. You can just squeeze the fruits and the oil comes out, or you can kind of crush the seeds in the fruit as well, and you can get the oil out that way. There are a few different ways of getting the oil out.
Couple of great questions there, guys. That was amazing. So I think what we're going to do is, it looks like we've got Robbie back. His signal has been a bit troublesome today, but it looks like he's there and smiling. So what we'll do is we will hand over to Robbie. Oh, sorry, that one's Kate. I need to move Robbie around to get him in that first position. There we go. Hand back over to Robbie, and I think he's going to do a bit of summing up for us. Over to you, Robbie.
Okay, folks, thank you. Sorry about that. It's been a bit crazy here in the rainforest today. Everywhere I go, I keep losing my connectivity. Oh well, I'm back now. Anyway, so we've covered an awful lot of ground this morning, learning about these plants in the rainforest and how they're connected to us where we live through, the things that we eat and the things that we use every day. But what I'd like to do, as part of summing up today, I'd like to collect some ideas from all of you guys. We want to make this year's big lunch the greenest and the most rainforest friendly as possible. So I would like you guys to put in the chat some ideas that you can think of, some things that you think you could do for your celebration event that would help to make it really green and environmentally friendly and rainforest friendly. So any ideas you can think of, please tell your teacher, pop them into the chat there, and we'll share them. Kate will be able to make them pop up on the screen and we'll see what ideas we can collect. Off you go.
Whilst we're waiting for that, Robbie, I just want to say, guys, I've been amazed at the questions that have been coming through in the chat. And we can only apologise that we'd never be able to get through all of them. But just the fact that you guys are thinking about this so carefully and you're asking such amazing questions really shows how engaged you are with this topic and gives me real belief that you guys are the right people to be part of this and to be thinking about how to make your big lunches and your celebrations as green and rainforest friendly as possible. So I just wanted to say thank you for all those questions. And I apologize if we haven't managed to ask yours, but I've seen them whizzing through and there are some incredible questions there. So thank you so much. It looks as if we have got a few good answers coming through in the chat. And I can see that Kate is clicking on some of those, but they're quite hard to capture sometimes because the next one comes in and they move up. But I've definitely seen the words fair trade mentioned in there as well. I can see a great one which talks about homegrown foods from Grandad's allotment. There we go. That's a really good answer there as well. Recycling things afterwards. So that's St Breward School. They're thinking about packaging and what we can do with leftover packaging. Again, there's fair trade. Absolutely brilliant answers that are coming through, and I can see Kate's clicking on as many as quickly as possible. Right. Sorry, Robbie, I'm doing a lot of talking. Back over to you.
No, that's brilliant. There's some great ideas coming through in the chat, and like Tom said, it really proves and really shows that you guys have all these ideas and all these skills that we actually need to actually make these events and these parties that we hold as green as they can be. Now, I'm just going to hand over to briefly to Claire and then Amy to see if they've got any other top tips that they're desperate to share about having about green celebrations and so on. Shall I start with Claire?
Yeah, I can start. Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, some really, really great suggestions coming through the chat there. Loving all of those ideas. One other thing that I've thought about is think about all of the lovely food that doesn't get eaten on the day. So make sure you share it out and everyone can take a little bit home so that nothing edible ends up going into the bin. And you can encourage people to bring containers with them to your big lunch so that they can take the leftovers home with them. And of course, bringing people together is a really important first step to making positive change. So I'm just going to drop the website in again for you all, so you can download your free pack at thebiglunch.com, and that'll help you start planning your big lunch for your school community this June.
Fantastic. Thank you, Claire. Amy, is there anything that you wanted to add, having seen some of those ideas coming through?
Yeah, there have been so many good ideas, and I really like your one, Claire, about thinking about the food waste as well. We're bringing lots of food and we're going to have an amazing time, but we do waste a lot of food, especially here in the UK. So it's a really, really important thing to think about as well. My idea, I think, would be to try, if you can, to have as much plant-based food as possible in your picnic. So things like fruits, which I know lots of people have been mentioning, lots of fruit platters, salads, amazing. Things like pulses and grains as well, because they're very healthy for us and they're really healthy for the planet as well. A lot of that deforestation on our planet comes from farming areas for things like cows. So if we can eat more plants instead, that's really good for us and it's really good for the planet as well. And then I think one of those key things, think about all of that packaging as well. Think about, can you minimize as much of that packaging as possible and use things that you can reuse and recycle? But really, really good ideas coming in. I've seen some amazing ones.
Brilliant. Thank you, Amy. I think we're going to hand back to Robbie, who's just going to sum things up for us before we sign off, because we're taking up enough of your morning as it is, guys, but it's been so enjoyable. So back over to Robbie.
Okay, folks. Well, thank you. Great effort by everybody today. We've been learning all about why tropical rainforests are important, the challenges they face. We've been learning about those rainforest foods that we eat in our celebration events that, that come all that way, traveled that massive distance. We've also been thinking about what we can do to help and what we can do to make the most green, sustainable, rainforest-friendly big lunch ever. We know that globally our tropical rainforests are under threat, but it's super important that we all know that there's thousands of people, organizations, millions of people, all of us everywhere around the world that are involved and want to protect rainforests and look after them. It's really important that we all know and that you know that we can all be part of that story. We all have a role to play. We can all do something about these challenges, and what we do in our everyday lives really, really matters and makes a difference. So that is it from us. I'm going to say goodbye from me in the tropical rainforest. Let's go around the room. So goodbye from Tom.
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye from Amy at WWF.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Goodbye from Claire and Kate from The Big Lunch, of course.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
See you again soon. Bye.